We're taking a look at a classic, but it's actually quite new, and this is the Sten Mk2. Actually, I've got a couple different variations of this. These are both in the long branch category. And for those of you World War II nerds out there, I'm sure you probably know a lot more about this than I do. These are versions of the Sten by Northeast Airsoft. They're gas blowback airsoft replicas. So they do shoot airsoft BBs. They are made of solid steel. This is 100% steel. I think maybe a little bit of plastic around the magazine, but that's about it. Pretty much weight and stripping and construction's the same as the real one. Of course, they shoot plastic airsoft BBs instead of the real thing. I actually already did a video of the Mark V, which was the latest version, the last version that was produced, and it has all the wooden furniture and all that. It's kind of like the last evolution of this. Well, this is an early evolution. This one comes from about 1943. The original one does. And I have a second one that's gonna come from around 1944 that was actually sent to the Chinese nationalist forces during World War II and was later used in the revolution when the Chinese nationalist forces fought the CCP during that and had the big revolution. So we'll be looking at both of them. I'll tell you the minor differences between the two. Functionality wise though, they all work the same. They take the same magazines, they're interchangeable. There's just a couple cosmetic differences. For those of you that are reenactors that are looking for something very specific to the time period and era. In fact, the Mark II, this version right here, was probably the most commonly released Sten out there. I think they made like millions of them. Now, obviously not from the Long Branch, was in Long Branch, Canada. It's named after that. It's where they manufacture these. The manufacturing in Long Branch, Canada was, I'd say, a little bit of a higher quality, and they were usually sent in different places. I think they were manufacturing there to help with the overflow. So they had different production facilities that weren't in actually England during the production. It's basically this is a British submachine gun. The real one is 9x19 Parabellum. Is this chambered in? This one's chambered in 6mm airsoft. A couple quick things. I'll show you a quick teardown of this toward the end too. I'm going to do a full strip on it so you could see how this thing breaks down, because it breaks down just like the real one. It's something I didn't do in my Mark V video. I do have some really cool shooting tests in my Mark V video, but I don't have anything that shows you the full breakdown. So this thing's pretty hefty. It's a hair under 4 kilos, like 3.7, something like that. It's all steel, so I mean, it's definitely something that adds some weight. I've got the bolt back and locked in this locked position. The magazine's on the side. Starting with the Mark II, which is this one, same as the Mark V video I did before, you can rotate this shroud. It actually rotates and locks into place so you can store it out with the bolt closed and kind of no dust gets in there. Just like the Mark II, you have the barrel shroud. The barrel comes out about 3 inches outside of the actual shroud itself. On this one, you don't have like all it's pretty, actually relatively cheap to produce for a submachine gun, the real version. That's why they kind of optimized it here. They stuck with it. I mean, if you're going for a World War II loadout, man, this is it, absolutely it. It's got some serious kick to it. This one does shoot in both semi and full auto. It has a big fat button. This side's R and this side's A, and you just kind of toggle it through. You can hear that loud, crisp steel as you kind of take it, and you can just push it through and push it back to go to fourth. The bolt, of course, it's locked back. It's open bolt system. So the bolt's open right now. When you fire, it'll actually cycle forward and then come back and lock in this position. And of course, full auto, you can do a mag dump on it. The magazine comes out, everything's steel and it's all brand new, this version I'm looking at here. So everything's nice and just hard and tough to get into. Magazine, stick type magazine, so you're gonna load it from the top. There's no follower, so you gotta kind of just load the rounds in and rock and roll. And most importantly, on this, I love how everything's just so clicky, is you've got the marking. So they have like Sten Mk2, 1943, long branch on there. You've got a serial number on the other side of this one. Steel post in the front, steel ring in the back for your sights. So it's pretty basic. Like I said, the stock, just like the real one, pretty basic. It's not exactly the most comfortable thing to hold, but hey, it's just like the real one. Stock comes off pretty easy. You press this little button in the back, you slide it down. It's this button right there, which is actually part of, it's pretty much this part of the, pretty much the buffer, I guess, for lack of a better description. Push it, lock it in, there you go. But overall, like I said, this thing is gonna be, like I said in my Mark V video, just a tank and something pretty rare in airsoft to have a full steel build, and a lot of people doing, you know, replica stuff. Everything's welded together just like the original was. I mean, the weld marks are here. This isn't made by, you know, cutting corners, I guess, using cheap tacking and things like that. I mean, Northeast really did a good job sticking with replicas. In fact, if you've never checked them out, Northeast is known, they're a relatively new airsoft company, known for doing replicas. Now, I'm gonna set this one down. I'm gonna swap it out for the next one, which is pretty cool. So, looks almost identical. Stock's a little bit different on this one here. This is also in the long branch category. If this one you look here on, it says Sten Mk2 long branch 1944 on this side here. But when you spin it around here, and I'll get a close up, it's written in Chinese, and it's actually the Chinese name for Sten submachine gun, and it says made in Canada actually in there. So, and that's what the translation of that is. It's the same on the box. The box actually is stamped with Chinese on the outside of the box, or it's stamped with English for the long branch 1943 version. And again, this one's already kind of in that. So it's got kind of a lock on the bolt, so you can't accidentally pull it back, and of course, can't fire at that point. So you have to pull this pin out away, and there's a little hole. I'll show you here, like this hole here. Pull it out, like this piece, right? And you pull it out, and that kind of opens it up, so now you can start to use it. Cock it back, and it'll stay back. If you want to put it like in a safe mode, you're gonna take it and you're gonna move it to this little notch here. You can see there's like a little notch right there. You're gonna take it and you're gonna move it to that notch, and that way it's safe in the back position. Since there's no mag in this, I'm gonna dry fire it. So you can take it and you can, watch my fingers, because everything's moving steel. You don't wanna lose any fingers on this one, and it'll slap forward. Now, had there been a magazine in it, it's gonna cycle and fire. And I said, this is the one that was what they sent to the Chinese Nationalist Forces during the war. The gotcha on this one is, this isn't exactly the M38, which is the one that I think the Chinese Nationalist Forces started to mass produce themselves. They eliminated the fire selector on that one. So that version did not have a fire selector, so it only shot in full auto only. But for the airsoft, we want to obviously have both. This is the one that the Long Branch unit produced for them, not the actual M83 that was produced in China. They started doing copies and replicas in China of the real one later on during the war and before the revolution, which was around 1949 in that time period up to that point. So that was all made by the nationalist forces. So they actually were taking the blueprint of this and making their own version. So this one, of course, has a little bit different stock. To be honest, I kind of prefer the feel of this stock if you're gonna, for me, if I was gonna pick one to use functional, because this steel's got a little bit of roundness to it and it's a little more comfortable. The other stock, I mean, I feel like it fits better on your shoulder, but this one feels better in your hand. So if you're gonna be kind of shouldered up and firing. As for weight and stuff, they're the same. I mean, honestly, you might be able to reach out to them and purchase different stock if you wanna swap it out. But I think for those of you that want this, you're gonna wanna stick with something that is pretty much true to the time period. All right, so that's it. We got a pair. I'm gonna grab the other one. Got a pair of these, both. So like I said, if you're a collector, you just want something neat, I mean, really, really neat for your collection. I mean, like absolutely super unique, super cool, a bit of world history. These are definitely something you should add to your collection. I really think that Northeast has done something amazing. I personally kind of prefer the older style ones than the Mark V that I did before that had the wood. I know it's like kind of a later style. Those were even used up to like Korean War, and even like I think some were even carried over into the Vietnam era just because of how reliable they were. They had suppressed variants and all that, but I kind of like this just raw steel. And like I said, they produced about 2 million of these in different variations, not obviously all at the Long Branch, which is this version here, but 2 million of the Mark II, which is pretty much identical to this. So if you're a reenactor, you want something World War II, this is gonna be something pretty safe to use if you're looking for an Allied Forces loadout, especially something on the British side, or if you just want something really fun to take to the airsoft field and just have a blast. In fact, I can see Airsoft Alphons doing a loadout with this. I always see him using like BARs and things like that. I'm kind of surprised he hadn't got a hold of one yet. It'd be really fun to see that guy do some stuff. He's got all the loadouts and everything. Anyway, if you haven't checked out his channel, he's got a really cool gameplay channel there. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on the Mark II, the Stens, the Long Branch versions with this one, and then the Chinese Nationalist version. I'm curious to know your comments on it. I mean, I don't think you can make it any better. I mean, it seems real to me. I mean, like I've never held a real one, but by gosh, this has got to be the closest thing to something that is real in airsoft and even made with the same materials. So curious to hear what you guys are saying about it down in the comment section below. Have you bought one of these or like a Mark V? I really want to know your personal experiences with it. Or are you interested in something like this or more really cool time period like airsoft replicas that come from like World War II? We don't see a lot of those anymore. Anyway, let me know in the comment section below. I'll be down there joining the conversation. So until next time, go out, play some airsoft, have some fun, but no matter what you do, call your freaking hits.